Welcome to Coach on the Couch. I'm your host, Jason Zaleski, here at Stratford High School. And we're talking to track and field coach, Nate Heeg. Coach, let's start with this. How many years you've been coaching, and what keeps you coming back every year?
Yeah, thanks for doing this, Jason. And this is my fourth year coaching track and field at Stratford with boys and the girls. Love it. I think what keeps me coming back is it was a big deal for me in high school to run track and field, and it meant a great deal to me. And it was the last thing that I got to do as a senior, and I really enjoyed those moments and that experience. And now I coach to try to help those kids, figure stuff out through the years, and it's just a passion of mine that I enjoy doing. It's hard to describe because there's so many things going on in track, but maybe that's what I like about it. But it's something that I would do no matter what, and I also have some kids coming up through the program as well, which is a lot of fun to see them succeed.
Tell us about your events in high school. What were you involved in?
Yeah, so I was. It's funny because I always was a hurdler. I was a 110 hurdler. Did the 300 hurdles for a little bit, and then triple jumped most of the time, and then I was in some relays. And then at the end, my senior year, I tried high jump and actually really enjoyed that towards the end. So yeah, that's what I did during my time.
People get more familiar with some of the stick and ball sports. Those are available, mainstream, whatever you might want to call it. Yeah. What interested you about track, and what would you tell other kids that are watching this right now that are thinking about maybe baseball, softball is not for me? How do you get started?
I think what's interesting about track is, and I love all the sports. I mean, I love watching them and playing them and whatever. But the thing about track that's unique is that you're a part of a team, but you're also an individual. And it is something that you're going to succeed and you're going to fail as an individual, and you're going to succeed and fail as a team. But there's so many different things to try, and I think that's the neat thing about it. I mean, you can throw shot or disc, you can run in sprints, you can run in distance, you can pole vault, you can high jump and long jump. I mean, there's just so many different things to try, and you may not fit in a sport somewhere else, and maybe there's a spot for you here, in track and field. So it's amazing how you can find some things out just by trying a few things.
I'll just tell you, looking back on my high school experience, I wish I would have, is what I'll tell you with that. All right, let's talk about last year a little bit. We started late in the season last year, later than normal, yet we got to have a season.
Yes, we did.
Which was a good thing. That was kind of the theme of the day last year, throughout the whole school year. We get to have a season. So just help us recap last year's season. What were some of those memories that you and the kids had during the season?
Yeah, it was definitely unique. We started, I believe it was April 19th, so very deep into the season, started outdoors right away, which this year has been a challenge with the snow. But it was really nice to be able to do that. And I think that was one thing that was super unique, was I think in southern states, they're outside from day one in practice, and we spend the first 6 to 8 weeks inside, depending. No indoor season last year, which was interesting. So we came right into the season, into some bigger meets, and actually went deep into June for state. And fortunately, we had to go deep into June because we did have some people get to state on the girls' side and on the boys' side. We had a 4x8 team that Coach Tiny actually put together, and it was amazing what happened there. And they all came together at the right time at sectionals and made it to state, and that was awesome. And then we had Jaden Wright on the other side get to state in triple jump and actually break the school record at state. So it was a really neat and unique time. So with all the adversity that we had over the last 2 years, to still have some of those successes was great.
You mentioned a name before I got to tell you what I tell everybody on this show, that once you mention one name, you're always in danger territory of missing some names, so we'll do the best that we can here. But your seniors are always a big part of the team, and you mentioned it, you get to end your high school career in this particular spring season, and for you, track and field. Think back to last year. Who were some of those seniors that you might remember that really helped out? They were kind of a coach, kids that were really able to help you help the other kids.
We had a really small senior group, and by that I mean two. We had Luke and we had Dre, and one was in throws, one was in sprints, and so they really, they were a great bunch of guys, I guess, two of them. But we really, they're good character and had a lot of fun, and helped drive us to where we needed to go ultimately. Neither one of them made it all the way to state that year, but they certainly had a great run through their high school career. So it was nice to be with them. And that's the thing about, all sports in high school is that eventually it comes to an end very quickly, and you can see what happens when that happens.
Quicker than when you're in it, quicker than you realize.
Yes.
When you're in it, for sure. So we weren't at any risk of missing any names out of that group. Let's now start to preview this year's team. First, let's start with expectations or goals. What have you and the kids talked about as far as expectations and goals coming into this season?
Yeah, so this year feels completely different, feels normal for the first time, and what is really exciting for us as coaches, which I have a great coaching staff this year, and they are just as excited as I am, but the numbers are way up. And we have a large group of freshmen specifically that are bringing so much talent and also diversity of all the different the events that we need to fill. And so they are going to really provide a lot of a boost to what we're doing. And then we have a number of seniors on the other end and obviously people in the middle, but really good leadership overall. So some of the expectations, I would tell you that we really want to make a run at conference this year as a team. That is something that has eluded Stratford on both sides for 20 plus years. 20 years on the boys and I think like 18 on the girls. So, right there. And it's time to make a change there. And I think this group believes they can do it.
Certainly one of my questions for you, where you fit in the conference. Obviously, Edgar has had some nice teams of
Marathon as well
of recent years and Marathon. How do you go about that challenge? I mean, in practice. I mean, kind of tell us the inner workings of achieving that type of thing.
Right. So we've had some really good discussions as a team about that, and I've challenged them and said, you have to want to win it because you want to win it. It can't be the coach's choice. It can't be what we want. It has to be what they want. And as coaches, we know that the talent is there to make this possibly happen. It's a challenge, and everything has to. The thing about conference and all conference, and the things for track and field is it has to happen that day. It's not about what you did during the season. It's that one day, and you win conference or lose conference, like most track meets. And the kids, they know that we have a plan for them to prepare to get ready for that time. And the reality is you have to have the numbers to do it, which I believe we have this year for the first time in my 4 years. And also, you have to have the talent in the right areas to be able to fill all the positions, at least have people in the right spots, if you will. And I think we have the ability to do that, barring injury and things like that.
Let's talk about fan attendance and why it's important for people to come out and support these kids at the various meets throughout the season. I'll share with you just a very short story about my favorite memory in the area from last year. Roisin Willis from Stevens Point turned out to be the Gatorade track athlete of the year in the entire country. She and her team were running the 4x4, and the place just filled up like crazy. Now that's maybe a little bit different thing, but yet that electricity, it's palpable when people are there. So talk about that, why it's important for people to come out and support these student athletes.
Absolutely. I mean, when you start in track and field, and one thing we talk about from almost day one is the state meet itself. Mm-hmm. And the state meet has many thousands of people, and it's hard to describe until you actually go to that event and see how amazing that is. And you mentioned the 4x4. It's one that's dear to my heart, and one that it's usually the last race of the night, and it is usually the most exciting. And most of the time, you win or lose the meet on that race. And I can tell you, when you say that, I get goosebumps. But I just love that race. But the reality of it is, I don't actually know where we're going here.
Just, fan attendance. Why it's important for people to come out and support these kids while they're performing their events and their activities.
Yeah, I mean the fan attendance is so crucial. So from that big stage down to the small stage of the small 2 or 3 team meet, the kids really get energized when there's somebody cheering for them on that corner. Sometimes it can be very difficult, specifically early in the season when you're still getting into shape and trying to figure out what you want to do. And having somebody cheering you on, maybe they don't know why they're cheering or what you're trying to achieve, but they're cheering for you. And I think that means something, in any sport, but specifically in track, again, because there's that individual aspect that you're trying to kind of beat yourself in a way, but also beat the competitor next to you. So, yeah, it's super important in track.
I think you and I could probably sit here and talk about the 4x4 the whole time. Now, of course, when I go to an event, I'm there for the entire time anyway, yet while I'm there, I am looking forward to it. It really is something special, that particular relay event at the end of the meet. Okay, we'll let you off the hook with this. So we talked about last year's seniors. Let's talk about this year's group a little bit. Name any names that you want, but maybe tell us why that group is important and maybe some individuals from that senior group this year.
Sure. Yeah, it's a really unique group of seniors this year. And what's interesting is it was my first year coaching when they were freshmen. So now this is my kind of first group of seniors that I coached from square one, I guess. And I actually had a few years in middle school with them too. But my son is a senior. Darren. He's running the 300 hurdles. He's got a real appetite to try to get the state this year. He was in the sectional final last year. Jaden, I mentioned, she really wants to go for the podium at state in the triple jump specifically, but I think she can do it in a few other events as well. And Eli Lucio is running and doing great. He looks phenomenal in the 800 and possibly the 400. We'll see. Noah Barrett has come in and has provided a spark to the sprinters and possibly some jumps as well. And I think he'll create a lot of noise in that world. I think about Alexis Foles, and she is a great thrower, and I think she's gonna have some success this year that Coach Robin is really excited to see as well. And I think that she will achieve some goals that she wants to achieve both in the shot and the discus. Lydia Golbach in the 800 and in the mile does very well, and I think she's been great the whole time, and I think she's going to provide a lot there as well. I think this is where I'm losing names.
Yeah, well, and I warn every coach, right? Yeah. As soon as we start, there's always going to be some. We'll let you off the hook with that. I'll say I interrupted Coach Heeg and didn't let him finish the names. Is how we'll end with that. Listen, the home meet's obviously just a few blocks down the road from here. Yeah. Other meets not that far away. So get out and support Coach and his track and field athletes. Coach, we're really looking forward to the season. Anything we left out or anything you want to end with?
Yeah, just come cheer on the team, and thanks for doing this and bringing some light to track and field. I look forward to this season and what these kids can achieve this year. It's going to be great.
Good. We're looking forward to it. As soon as the snow melts, we'll be out right away as we sit here right now. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks to Coach Heeg for joining me today, and more Coach on the Couch coming up next.